Hello viewers, you're welcome to my channel. This is Luchi's Design. If you are seeing my video for the first time, you are highly welcome. Please subscribe, like and share my video. And to my returning subscriber, thanks for always stopping by. In today's video, I'll be teaching you how to cut and sew this A-line maxi gown you are seeing here. And I'll also be teaching you how you can achieve a longer length when you are making a flare long gown with an African print. Please make sure you watch till the end because this video is well detailed and easy to understand. This is the fabric I'll be using. I have 6 yards here. I also have a lace fabric that I'll be using for my yoke design at the front. The next thing now is to fold the fabric. To fold the fabric, you know that most African prints, the width is always 45 inches. So if you fold it this way, you won't achieve a full length that will be pouring on the ground. So in that case, what you need to do is to fold it vertically. The both end of the factory markings will meet. That's this white line here. Arrange it properly. I'll be cutting the front and back at the same time. So what I will do is to place my front part on the back part. The back part is under, so I left 1 inch for the zipper allowance. Just measure your 1 inch. So I will rule out my starting point. So the next thing I will do now is to mark my neck line. Mark 3.5 inches for front and back width, and for the back depth I took 1 inch. For the front length I took 5 inches. I will now connect it. My shoulder is 16 inches. I will divide it by 2 and input my measurement there. That's 8 inches. I added ½ inch for allowance. To mark my chest line, I will divide my round bust by 6 and I will add 1.5 inches. From my shoulder, I'll mark it down. I will rule a straight line. I'll also connect my chest line. Because I'm cutting it direct on my fabric, I will take 1 inch for shoulder slope. That's for the front. And for the back, I will take ½ inch. I will connect it to my neckline. Next thing is to divide my chest line by 2. I'll just place my tape and fold it into 2 to determine the middle. I will now mark 0.75. I will connect it. To curve my armhole, I will divide my bust circumference by 4. I will mark it here. I'll add 1 inch for each allowance. If you want it to be a little bit free at your bust area, you can add extra 1 inch. So I will draw my armhole. So for the back, I will come in by ½ inch. And I will also draw my armhole for the back. The next thing is to mark a slanted line for your A-line shape. Just draw it down to your full length. If you want your flare to be full, you can shift your hand. If you can also reduce your flare, your A-line. See the way I'm marking it. You mark it. Okay, I later increase it so that the flare will be full. My length is 60. I added extra 2 inches for folding. So I will now mark it down to the hem. Okay, the next thing now is to cut it, but I will first of all cut the back part. I'll just cut off the back neckline and back shoulder slope, and I will cut the back armhole first. After cutting it, I will separate it and I will trace out the front neckline and the front armhole. I'll cut it offline and show you the next thing to do. Okay, I'm done cutting it. I will now slash my zipper allowance open. Just slash it open for the back. After that, I will now remove my back part. I will now cut off my front neck and I will trim up my front armhole. This is the end of the cutting part. Please make sure you watch till the end so that you can see the outcome of the dress. So to sew the dress, you first of all cut the facing, front facing and the back facing. So just watch what I'm doing to know how I cut my facing. I'll just place my front, just arrange it very well, and I will cut it up. Okay, after cutting it out, the next thing you will do now is to measure the length of your facing. You measure the length depending on what you want. You can use 8 or 10. I'll just mark it. Make sure you add your sewing allowance. I also cut my back facing. I'll measure the length and I will trim it off. For this one, I just measure the length of 9 inches. I added 1 inch for folding. Okay, to sew it, I will start with my back. I'll first of all insert my zip. I'll measure down 22 inches, or you can use your zip to determine the length of where you will stop your sewing. I'll mark it and I'll go to my sewing machine and close it down. This is my facing. I iron a soft gum on it to stabilize it. If you use it to turn your neckline, it will give it a little more weight. So what you will do, you go to your machine and fold it, fold the back and front. I folded it. Okay, you can trim it off if you want. So this is when I was done inserting my zip. So the next thing is to turn my neckline. Make sure you align it and sew it with 1/2 inch. Also sew the zip side. I've sewn it. See how I close it. So I'll cut off the zip, excess zip, and I will turn it. Please make sure you knot it round. It's very important so that your neckline will relax well. So you turn it inside out. Just push it out. Okay, this is what I have. I'll just give it a good press. Just iron it out very well. So after that, the next thing is to cut the yoke design at the front. So what I will do now, I will fold it into 2. I will use my front facing as a guide. I'll just use it to cut it out. The length is 12 inches. You can increase it if you want. This is what I want. Just stretch it out. After cutting it out, I will now reduce my front facing. I'll reduce it. The next thing now is to shape the lace to give it that V shape. So I want it to terminate at 10 inches. That's my nipple point. I'll mark it. For the armhole side, I will come down by 6 inches from my shoulder, and I will slant it, slant it, give it a V shape. Okay, I'll now cut it off. Please make sure that the line is slanted. Okay, this is what I have after I was done cutting it off. So the next thing I will do now, I'll bring my front part, I will place it on it, just arrange it very well. Well, you can use your stripe of fabric for the placket. For me, I'll be using velvet ribbon. This is what I will be using. I'll go to my sewing machine now and stitch it down. Please make sure you use your pin to hold it. You can also use gum to secure it. This is what I have when I was on. I remove my pins. This is what I have. So the next thing, I'll use my velvet ribbon to cover it. This is what you will do. Just place it to know the length. I'll just cut it off. So I'll use my pin to hold it, and I will sew it. Just sew it at the two edge. So after sewing it, the next thing you will do now is to fold it into two and iron it. After ironing it, you see the markings. That's how to determine the middle. You will notch it. This is very important. If you don't do this, you won't get the middle. The placket won't be straight. So I will just place it and pin it down. Just carefully do it. Carefully and patiently pin it down. The next thing is to sew it. This is what I have. When I was done sewing it, I will now turn my facing round. Just watch what I'm doing. Sew it with 1/2 inch round. After sewing it, you notch it before turning it inside out. I'll turn it. See what I have, very neat. You iron it very well. Okay, so I will now use my hemming gun to iron it down so that it can lay flat and it won't be opening up. You can also use needle and thread to tack it. After that, I will now join the two sides. Well, first of all, I will join the shoulder. See how I do turn my shoulder to give it a neat finishing. I've finished sewing my shoulder. I sew it with 1 inch. I've removed my pins. Okay, so I will now join the two sides. I'll close it with 1 inch. The 1 inch I added for the sewing allowance, I'll just sew it at the both sides. I'll do a detailed tutorial on how to cut and fit a perfect sleeve. This is the outcome of everything. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on notification bell for more videos.